Have you done that before, Alec? Yep, we're on.
Good morning, everyone. Today's Thursday, November 17th, 2022, and we're here for a work session. And as always, we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And Bob, can you please take the lead?
Absolutely. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have one quick announcement today, and as a reminder to residents, pending any unforeseeable weather delays, leaf pickup will begin on November 28th. It'll take place during the upcoming weeks. Week 1 is November 28th. The hamlets of Laurel, Jamesport, and Aquabog. The second week will commence on December 5th in Riverhead and Calverton, and week number 3 will commence on December 12th in Wading River. Please place your leaves curbside in a pile at the edge of your property by 7 a.m. on Monday of the week your area is scheduled for the pickup. Your district, we asked you to please adhere to this process to ensure that we have efficiency of our leaf pickup throughout the entire town. And finally, everything has been resolved, and I want to thank Tim Hubbard, who jumped on it and made it happen. It's a service that the community needed, and we are maintaining it.
I just want to reiterate, not in the road, on the side, on your property.
On the
not
edge.
in the road. And if you ride around town, you'll see some people have erected fences, you know, little plastic or vinyl fences, and I spoke to Mike Zaleski about that, and he said they love that. He said, because their guys will come in, they'll pull up the stakes, it's much easier for them to scoop it up and go with it, so if you can do that, that's even better. And no branches. If there's branches in your leaf pile, they're gonna keep on going past your house, they're not gonna pick them up. So leaves only, and on the side, on your property, not on the road.
And can I just add what Mark from the Environmental Committee said in a meeting here? Town residents also need to know that if they mulch their leaves on their lawn, it's actually healthy for their grass. So I think that's really, really important to bring up, okay? You can mulch your leaves on your lawn if your lawnmower mulches leaves, and you're absolutely fine.
Okay, moving forward to our first discussion item for today, relating the Recreation Department. And we have Ray Coyne here, our Recreation Director. And Ray, can you come forward, please?
We're gonna do a presentation, if that's okay?
Oh, Ray, you're gonna have to bring the mic up to you.
Way up, right?
Way out.
There you go.
I talk loud, though. Okay, this is, we try to do this every year to update the town board on the current state of the park. You can see what we see, what we've accomplished, and what we're looking to accomplish. So we like to get it in a PowerPoint presentation so you can see with pictures and everything. So I'll go through the slideshow with you. First, I'd like to thank this town board. I really do, starting with the supervisor and members of the town board. You've really been supportive of the parks. You've enabled us to get a lot of projects done in the last 2.5, 3 years, which is very big. We've done more projects in the last 2, 3 years than we've had in a decade. So thank you very much for all your support. Can you just read that slide? Actually, I can't read the slide.
Thank you to the town board for your efforts in helping make the past couple of years full of successful milestones for both the Parks and Recreation Department and the town of Riverhead.
Yeah, Ashley, is that? Yeah, you're not getting picked up, Ashley. Oh, look at this.
Hello, Ashley.
I think they were talking about the screen, right?
No, talking about.
You're good.
Okay,
Okay.
great.
Thank you to the town board for your efforts in helping make the past couple of years full of successful milestones for both the Parks and Recreation Department and the town of Riverhead. The COVID pandemic brought on financial and labor hardships, but with your help, we are able to complete and begin several of our park improvement projects these past few years. We look forward to working with the 2023 town board in hopes of another positive year for the department and town as we continue to bring new and improved facilities to the town of Riverhead, its residents and visitors. The town of Riverhead Parks and Recreation Department.
All right.
I also like to thank Ashley and Jordan. Ashley did put this presentation together. She does it every year for us. She goes and finds some of the pictures as well. She was out early this morning taking some final pictures for the presentation. And Jordan's out there. He's in the field doing all the work, inspecting all the parks, finding out what's wrong, what we can do. He's in charge of, we have 42 parks here in town of Riverhead, believe it or not. So, and each one needs our tender love and care. So we'll move on to Veterans Park. That is our largest park that we have here in the town of Riverhead. And what we've done there is we were able to complete 3 permanent pickleball courts. And if you can see the picture there, they came out great. Pickleball is the #1 sport now for people in recreation. It is actually, you can now start seeing it on TV. The sport has grown exponentially. It's not just for seniors anymore. The youth are now getting involved. The largest complaints and the fighting happens on those pickleball courts, believe it or not. So it's amazing. We're to a point with pickleball. Ashley's in charge of pickleball. We got to bring somebody else in to help her out. It has grown so much, and the demand, and she gets called every day by. She can give you stories. So the rideshare program was done in 2021. The water at Isaac Dog Park was completed in 2021. We did a new swing set. We're hoping to get that new playground coming soon. Swing set in 2018. And we added an ages 2 to 5 playground by the ball fields in 2017. So we were able to get some work done up there. And I know there's great things happening from Councilman Rothwell with the ice rink and the town board, and Councilman Kern with the athletic fields that we're in discussion now. So our next phase of development for Veterans Park is we need to add multi-purpose turf fields. We've been talking about that, and I think we have a plan for that now. We want to add a large playground. This is in the middle now, where the dog park is. This is what the build that's supposed to look like. A large children's playground. We'd like to add more pickleball courts due to the demand. And we have room for that. We want to add tennis, basketball, and volleyball courts. We want to add shade structures and add lights to the athletic fields, which I believe through Supervisor Aguiar, we are on our way for that, the town board. So, but the main thing, the middle, we wanted to get this done as soon as possible, the tennis, basketball, volleyball, because it's needed up there. We've been talking about it for a decade, and it's something we really want to do. Should get done. The next slide. These are some of the issues that we're having with the softball and the baseball fields. Inclement weather always kills us. It causes oversaturation, drainage issues, and we have to cancel a lot of events up there. It costs a lot in materials and our personnel to repair and maintain these fields. One of our suggestions is to redo the infields. They really need to get redone. And the other one is to replace with turf fields. Which will also create opportunity for additional multi-purpose field use. And I say turf field, I know turf fields are expensive, they are. But all the municipalities are going in this direction. They turf just the infields, and this way you don't have any rainouts, you don't have to maintain it, and they can use it all year long. So like I said, a lot of municipalities are going towards this. It's something we'd love to do up there, especially on the baseball field where we can do multiple sports there. Okay, ball field and surrounding areas. These are just these are areas that are just not aesthetically pleasing. Overgrown grasses, weathered-looking landscape. We currently have seasonal porta potties, the sole bathroom source for softball and multi-purpose fields. I know that's been a challenge with the Department of Health. So we're looking to clear out the area, add walking paths, seating, picnic areas. We really want to build it up. And we also want to add a memorial brick pathway in honor of the veterans. The memorial bricks where you can donate and put your name on it. We'd really like to honor the veterans up there, and that would be one of our initiatives this year. Storage facilities is another issue up there. The increase in the facility has rapidly increased the need for staffing, supplies, and equipment at Veterans Park. You can see what we have here. This trail is full, and it's a pain in the neck to get to things. We're looking to, at some point down the road, add a facility that we can use a proper storage unit, field house for field equipment, vehicles, medical and field supplies, as well as home base for staff. It's needed up there, especially with the expansion that's going on up there. It's a 92-acre park. So we're looking to purchase a unit and have B&G construct a storage facility. They've done that for us in the past, and they've done a wonderful job. I just want to also, and I did this a few years ago, we want to show you what the town of Smithtown and town of Brookhaven look like. They're our neighboring towns. Town of Smithtown took them 30-something years, but they finally got the turf field. I grew up in Smithtown, so I was always a big complainant about the fields there. But they have the synthetic turf complexes now. Town of Brookhaven is turfing all their fields and upgrading all their complexes. We just want to show you what it looks like and what can look like for us. Our flagship park is up next, Statsky Park. These are the accomplishments. We are almost there. You can see the picture there. The pavement has just went down for the tennis courts. They're going to look great. The Buildings and Grounds and Engineering team did a wonderful job with the drainage. They're going to look incredible. We just have to put the final touches on it. So new tennis pickleball courts will be at Statsky Park for the spring of 2023. They should be done within a few weeks, though. Lights were added to the Little League fields 3 and 5, and updated security lights on the soccer field, which is great. It lights up the whole fields. And Little League was very, very happy with lighting up their baseball field. 2021, we added water at the Duke Dog Park. And 2019, we repaved the handball court. And that's another sport that is huge here. We get a lot of people every single day using that handball court. All right, next, the parking lot. See, it's the infrastructure that hurts Statsky Park. The weather kills it, the constant use, the pavement is in decline. We suggest repave the walking paths, restriping the parking lots and fixing the cracks. And the main thing that we really want to do is the access to the north parking lot. That road constantly is in disrepair. We have to continually to fill the potholes and continue fixing it every single year. And that's something that it's a large project. So
It's unbelievable what restriping will do too. It just brightens everything up and makes it look cleaner and gives people a
Yes.
chance to park in their own spot. And you can do that pretty frequently without much cost.
Agreed. And we work with Highway too many times to help us with some of the lying down of the roads, and they've done in the walking paths. So we'll look for any way, shape to do it. Like I said, Statsky is our flagship park. The next area is in need of improvement over there. The playground services, that's where it is everywhere. In multiple parks, we still have wood chips that require annual replenishing and expenses. It's very, very expensive. You can ask Buildings and Grounds to replenish the wood chips. It gets dangerous when the wood chips get really, really low. And the picnic areas could use improvements and additions. So our suggestion is to get pour-in-place surfacing for the playground area.
Right, can I just ask you one
Sure.
thing about wood chips? Are you paying for them?
Yes, every year it comes out of the building grounds budget, and every year I guess they get a whole slew of wood chips.
The
I'm not
reason
sure.
why I ask that is there's some tree guys that, have to pay to dispose of wood chips. Might be a good idea to, I'll contact somebody and see if I've had that done in the past at another property. They'll
Yeah.
give you the wood
And
chips.
to that point, there's a chipper right now on, across from Crown Sanitation on the Highway Department. They're chipping logs right now, so if they're stockpiling them, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be able to use them for another
That would
department.
be great, that would be great. Pour-in-place is another solution. We've done that at Needle Park and a couple of our new playgrounds. We're trying to put pour-in-place in all the new playgrounds that go in. Our goal is to put a splash park there at some point. That's a very popular thing now for the children, and we feel Statsky is an ideal place for it. We also want to add swings and more equipment for the disabled, add pavilion to rent for parties and gatherings. The basketball court needs resurfacing, and we'd like to add lighting to the tennis pickleball, the new tennis pickleball court. So next is the multi-purpose field. This is we've had this challenge for the 17 years that I've been here. It's overused. We have two multi-purpose fields, the south field and the north field. The south field is in really poor shape. That's the picture that is there. That is the south field. We do not use it unless we have to, because of the poor field conditions. The North Soccer Field was repaired about 8 years ago with sod and drainage, so it hangs in there, but we often have to shut it down for repairs. And it's often, sometimes a month, 2 months, that we have to shut it down. And we had to cancel many practices, games, the PAL programs and other programs. So we really need multi-purpose fields here in the town. And again, we've been suggesting this for a long time. Synthetic turf fields will solve all of our problems. I know it's easy to say. I know it's very expensive though at the same time. Our next park, our second tier park, is Bayberry Police Officer Memorial Park. That has been getting some great upgrades. 2022, they got a new surface tennis and basketball court. It looks great down there. That's the picture Ashley took this morning of the tennis court. She didn't want to get the leaves on it, so she got the angle of it. But they look great. We put new fencing in there that was desperately needed. B&J Buildings and Grounds recreated the baseball field in 2021, and then we put a new playground set in 2020. So we really did a nice job through efforts. And then I know Home Depot came one year with Councilman Hubbard and did a big cleanup there and made it look aesthetically pleasing. So we've done a good job with Police Officer Memorial Park. The concerns we have are, again, it's infrastructure, safety concerns, the cracks and the potholes that are there. You can see the pictures, and the parking lot. Again, this has been probably 20 years in the making. Is in very bad shape. It's falling into the park, slowly falling into the park, but it is a large project. You need drainage. It's a couple $100,000. So it's said everything we're talking about. It costs money, a lot of money. So we would really like to repave and restripe that parking lot. Really like to redo it. And the walking paths. You can see some of the pictures of the walking paths with the cracks in it. We also want to add pickleball courts over there. The one thing we did with Bayberry when we put the new tennis courts in, we did not add pickleball courts. The tennis players, there are still tennis players out there. They have complained in the past that they do not like the extra lines that pickleball courts come with, and so we wanted to have one true tennis court. So we selected Bayberry Park. We have not received one complaint up there because we do have the pickleball courts up at Calverton, but at some point we want to add their own pickleball courts. Next slide is the Natal Park. This was done about 4 or 5 years ago, but this is an example of what Pour and Place looks like. That project came out really nice.
The school districts all use that surface too. It's a great surface to pour and play. I mean, the maintenance is low and it's a cushiony, nice, soft cushiony material, so if somebody falls out of a swing or whatever, they're less apt to get hurt.
It's safe, yeah, and aesthetically pleasing too. So, but again, it's expensive. So.
Right.
Two Bears, another one of our parks, as we call them, the second tier. And we're looking to address this soon. We wanted to address this in the last few years, we just ran out of money and other projects took priority. There's cracks on the tennis courts. The playground is starting to fall apart. That was put in 2005. So it's towards the end stages of its life. It's got the wood chip surface. Portion of the walking path is cracked. Repairs needed. Buildings and Grounds did go in there, and there was a huge problem with the walking paths with a tree buckling underneath it, and they were able to remove the tree and fix that. But if you go down to the park, it still needs a lot of work. So our solution is to resurface those tennis courts, repave the walking path, and put a new playground in there with a Pour and Play surface. Next park is Unity Park. It's a neighborhood park. Excuse me. Full climber playground set with Pour and Play surface. That's what we're looking to put in there. Oh no, we do have that in there. I'm sorry, that was the first project we did in 2005. Swing set is older with wood chip surface. You can see that. We'd like to get a new swing set in there. The basketball court is heavily used, but it is faded and it's kind of dull now. We want to fix that up and repave it. So we want to replace the wood chips with Pour and Place on the swing set, and then paint the lines in the basketball court and add 2 more basketball hoops. Horton Avenue, that's, the Stop the Violence program is there every year. We've done a lot to that court. We resurfaced it in 2018. We had a scoreboard in 2017. There was a playground added there about a decade ago. The one issue that's left there is the parking. You really can't park down there. We're looking to put in even a gravel or a paved or designated parking area for people down at Horton Avenue. That's the one complaint they do have. East Creek Docking Facility. It's in very good shape, East Creek. It was done several years ago with concrete floats. We get tons of compliments down there. We put the Bluestone parking lot in there. But the Bluestone is a maintenance issue. So we'd like to put permeable paving in there at some point down the road. And what I'd like to do as soon as possible, put surveillance cameras in there. There's been some issues down at East Creek with some of the boats being broke into, so we'd really like to get a surveillance cameras down there. We can use East Creek funds for that. Excuse me. Millbrook Gables is the next neighborhood park. It's really the picnic tables and the benches. They're peeling and rusted. The basketball courts require resurfacing and repairs. So our solution is to repave and restripe the basketball court and add new and updated picnic tables and benches to it. Georgetown Community Center, the heart of Jamesport. We just added a new sandblasted sign in 2021. They were very happy with that. The other sign was dilapidated. There was a new installed playground there in 2020. That has gone a long way because we do have our camp there. Building and back play area require updates, additions, and necessary repairs. We'd like to do the basketball court that's way in the back there. We'd like to redo that. We'd also like to add pickleball courts for the East End residents. And that's all you hear is pickleball, pickleball, pickleball. So we'll put them anywhere we can. Now down to the beaches, Reeves Beach, 2021, a new beach booth went in there. That's a great addition to that beach. Brand new bathrooms went in there as well. It looks great down there. And obviously you can see the picture, the 4x4 ramp is in constant need of repair. Between highway and building the grounds, they've done a great job repairing it every year, but we're looking to do something down the road with that. The stairs and boardwalks are due to be replaced very soon. That has to be 30 years plus, maybe even more than that. So they are starting to fall apart. We patch them up, building the grounds patches up when necessary, but it's at the point where we're going to have to start looking to replace all the stairs. There's been a new gazebo in there. We didn't put that in there. A pavilion constructed by Buildings and Grounds. It looks great, and the residents down there love it, and the view there is spectacular. And heading over to South Jamesport Beach, they got some new stuff. They got a new tennis and pickleball courts. As you can see the picture there, that was just completed. A new sandblasted sign for the beach as well. A new handicap ramp to the gazebo. A new beach booth we put in 2021. 2019 we put in all new grills. And 2018 a new playground set installed. So South Jamesport Beach is in good shape. But it stays that way. We do need some benches over there at the basketball court. They're falling apart. New picnic tables are needed in the picnic area near the tennis courts. And shade structures is a big request from the residents, including the beach committee. As you can see, the playgrounds have no shade to it. And the children that climb it when the sun's bearing down them, especially around noon, it is very, very hard to stay on those playgrounds. So that's a big request, and we're looking into that this year. That's why we kind of put it in bold, because it's been a request here and several of the other beaches as well.
Yeah, that came up again last night at the beach committee. There's a strong push to get those.
South Jamesport Boat Launch Facility. We need to renovate that very soon. It's a very costly venture. It's hanging in there. We replace it every year. As far as, we patch it every year, Buildings and Grounds does, but at some point we're going to have to replace the football ramp. Over to Iron Pier Beach. Brand new playground was put in, the Kerry Stromsky Playground. That came out really, really nice. The sign came out really, really nice. In 2022, we added a beach cleaning service, so we hired a company to come in and clean the entire beach from the rocks, the debris. It came out great, and we're now looking to do this at all the beaches. We're working with Buildings and Grounds to share the costs of this. This will eliminate some of the work that they have to do. It makes the beaches look pristine, really look good. So we're looking to do that at all of our beaches in 2023. 2021, a new beach booth went up, and then 2020, those relic cleanup stations, which are very popular, went up there as well. Wading River Beach, excuse me. Wading River Beach along with Iron Pier gets hit hard every year with the nor'easters. So we are constantly replacing things down there. The swing set is in dire need of a replacement. That's actually, we just painted that, but the rust and the wear and tear of the swing set, so that's something we need to do down there. But other than that, the Wading River's in very good shape. A lot of things have been replaced there over the years, and it looks great. We always need to resurface the parking lot, but that's part of our regular maintenance. Waterfront access point. We have several of the waterfront access points throughout the town. We assess them every year, throughout the year. They always require maintenance and repair, but most damage done by annual storms. So that's it on our parks, the current update of our parks. Again, we've gotten a lot done. The parks were in worse shape years ago. We've been able to get a lot done, and we're hoping to continue to get a lot done. And we thank you for all your support for the parks. It's been great, and the ideas that have been coming up, like the hockey rink and the multi-purpose fields slated to go into Veterans Park, would be great for the town. I'm not going to go through this presentation of sports tourism. I wanted to keep it in there. I did this presentation 2 years ago. I'm very, very big into it. It is a multi-billion-dollar industry now. It's travel sports, and the municipalities all over the country are building parks or upgrading their parks to attract these tournaments, lacrosse tournaments, soccer tournaments, baseball tournaments. They bring in millions of dollars to the town, to the hotels, to the restaurants, and the field rentals. We make a lot of money off that. So, and that's Veterans Park. We really want to slate that for our big park where we can have huge tournaments there. And so this slideshow, I'll let you read it on your own, not to continue this, shows you kind of a breakdown and the percentages and the trends going on and what some of these municipalities have done to upgrade their facilities. And I've always felt strong if we did that here, especially the way we are at the heart of the East End of and by the ferries, not too far from an airport. It's a perfect location for people to travel, especially in the summer, to come to Riverhead, do their tournaments. I've been in tournaments. My son's been on tournaments. We go to hockey tournaments, even deck hockey. There was 85 teams there the last tournament. You're talking about 85 teams, 15, 20 players, plus the parents and the sisters and the brothers. They need hotels. They need to eat. They need to shop. And that's what they do at these locations. So I just want to put it out there again to show you. I think some of the board members went out there when they presented it a few years ago. That's for your use only. And that's the update. That is our parks update. And we thank you again for allowing us to...
Oh, Ray, I know you've been doing a great job, and I thank you. This is a pretty, an excellent presentation. And I know you've been very busy. And we look forward to all the upgrades, and it's not stopping here. There's some stuff in the work, and thank you. Jordan, I know you've been...
Ashley and Jordan are the parks.
Jordan and Ashley, you're also the backbone there, so thank you to the Recreation
I'm
Department.
just their puppet. They run the show.
Ray,
The mouthpiece.
I got a question for you, Ray.
what's the lifespan of pour and play?
Studies have indicated 15, 20 years.
So that's,
So every year they advance with the technology, so it's getting more and more. But the last we checked, 15, 20 years. The one porn place that we did, I think it's Unity Park, or which one? Nadell. No, Nadell we just did, but Unity Park I did when I first got here in 2005, and that's still fine. So you're talking about 17 years, and it's still in great shape. So.
Maybe a patch here and there you might have to replace.
so another question on in South Jamesport Beach with the benches. Is it possible to use the benches that Tanger donated to us?
Yeah, I don't think we have any left though.
Oh, they're
I think they're all gone. Yeah, we took as many as we could, and we spread them around. They look great, but I think they're all gone.
Okay.
So, but thank you guys again. I
Good
appreciate
job.
it.
Thank you, guys. Ray, the brochure you guys put out every year is fantastic. The programs that you offer to our residents, you do a fantastic job. Jordan and Ashley, you guys kick butt. I gotta say,
Yeah.
you really do. Jordan has recently joined us on the Inclusion Task Force, and they're looking to develop more programs for people with special needs, and it's just fantastic. You know, the things that we're doing in this town for our residents, you know, often go overlooked, but you guys are doing a fantastic job, so thank you very much.
Thanks,
Take
guys.
care. Thank you. Okay, for our next discussion, we have our highway, actually, our water superintendent, sewer, dirty water.
Yeah.
Dirty
Right.
water super.
Dirty
Dirty
water
water sewer.
superintendent.
I'm sure they often refer to that, right with you. So, our sewer superintendent, Michael Reichel, is here to discuss a matter concerning sewer district boundary extension for 1418 Pulaski Street. And Mike,
Correct.
can you please take the lead?
Yep. Okay, we have a petition to extend the sewer district boundaries to include the property that is on the southeast corner of Pulaski Street and Route 58. It's right
Okay.
next to the car dealership.
Okay,
That property originally was a residential piece and was not included in the commercial sewer district extension in '94 when we drew the boundary lines.
Okay.
The idea was to just provide sewer for commercial development, and that was zoned residential. So that they would like to install a car wash over there. There was an application made back in 2017 for this to happen. I guess they had gotten approval, and they then sold the property to a new developer, and he wants to put a car wash there. The old application is no good because it was never followed up on. We had
Okay.
given them a proposal to prepare a map and plan, which they never gave us authorization to do. They then sold the property and the project to someone else who now has to go through that same process and make the application for the district extension. So H2M would prepare a map and plan if the board is willing to entertain the petition. The map and plan is $15,750. That would be paid for by the developer. That would identify what the impacts would be for the district extension to the downstream collection system, pump stations, and the treatment plant, as to whether there's sufficient capacity to handle the additional flow. And if there is not sufficient capacity, what improvements would be necessary in order to accommodate the additional capacity. It also entails a request to New York State DEC to extend the boundaries, because the DEC requires that we apply to them for district extension, boundary extension. So, all the costs are to be borne by the developer. So if the board wishes to entertain the petition, I just need a verbal, I don't need a resolution or anything. I'll just have H2M prepare the map and plan at the developer's expense.
Mike, does the extra flow have any stress or strain on your department or anything that we should know about behind the scenes?
No, it's not going to cost us any, additional expenses other than treating them, which they will be billed for through their sewer
Right,
taxes.
but there's no extra employees, maintenance, or anything that has to be?
No, no.
And no capacity issues for you.
The district the district boundary was created and encompasses a certain amount of property. There were certain flows associated with those properties based on their use and based on what could be developed on the property. So we had to kind of forecast what could be built when we did the Route 58 extension. That was before Home Depot, Applebee's, the whole bunch of them. So a certain amount of gallons was assigned to them, and there was a phased approach to make improvements to the district to take that into consideration. So we've done improvements to the Cranberry Street pump station based on that. Well, first we ran sewer down 58, constructed Tanger pump station, constructed the pump station on the Lowe's property, made improvements to the Cranberry Street pump station for additional capacity to handle the flow. Several years later, we made improvements to Howell Avenue pump station because it all conveys through those pump stations and the sub-collection districts of those
Right.
pump stations.
Okay.
So if it's coming from here down there, you have to look at to make sure that you can accommodate that. So the report that is going to be generated by H2M is going to identify if the pumps are big enough, if the pipe sizes are large enough to handle the additional flow, the controls and things like that. Because it was designed around that area, and now we're going outside of that area to include Warren. We're currently under a study for another petition that was made at the end of the expressway, which is the warehouse distribution, whatever it is, that butts up on Middle Road. We're also going through the process to identify the impacts from that as well. So they're not done yet, but this study will also take into consideration the flow to be generated from that facility, if that facility was also to be included in the district.
Part of the cumulative effect of all this coming to town or trying to come to town.
Yeah.
How far is the run do they need now for the car wash from Lowe's? Or from 58, wherever?
The main runs down the south side of Route 58, so there is there was a spur installed for them to connect up to. It's about 12 feet down, but it's there for that property to connect to. If it was never used, then it was never used.
Right.
But that's the way we were trying to plan to accommodate for it. They would then have to run their line from their building out to and connect up to the stub that's in the street, that's in the shoulder of the road.
Right.
So everybody on the north side of the road has to cross the street to make connection to the main that's on the south side of the street.
And that's to the cost of the developer, should it happen.
Yes.
So Mike, I know most, like, car washes have to be self-contained, like where they're holding the water and then physically pumping away, nothing goes into the ground because of contamination from the oil and grease and so forth that comes off the bottom of all the cars as they
Right.
wash. My question would be, if this is pumped through the sewer, does this study include the long-lasting effects of, like, oil itself, car oil buildup in these pipes over time? Because obviously oil and water separate.
Right.
So the oil's gonna sit at the bottom of the tank as it's flowing, to the receiving point.
As part of the Riverhead Sewer District Code, we have pre-treatment requirements that are in place, and it addresses several different things, from restaurants to car washes to breweries to a lot of different things. So we have in place a oil water separator and oil and grit separator for car washes, and that's a requirement. So we're also going to take into consideration the amount that they reuse. So after they wash your car, they recycle the water, and they clean it, and then they clean the next guy's car with your dirtier water. So,
So a lot of it is captured before it ever gets to the pipe.
Yeah, right, especially on
so, yeah,
58.
it depends on the level of treatment that they actually bring the water to. I was
And you
just-
set like
just being
regulations
smart.
for that, like how they,
We
What's
require,
required?
right, them to install and maintain the pre-treatment equipment that's necessary to do that.
okay.
And there is recycling involved, so we're gonna take that into consideration based on the type of machine from the manufacturer, and we're gonna look at the water usage, the number of cars to be done, hours of operation, and we're gonna come up with a connection fee for them also, that they have to pay, just like they would have to pay the water district key money fees.
How many car washes do we have? I think
Well,
we have
we
3 or
have-
4 already, right? 3?
We have two
Toyota.
We have three that are public that we know. We got
I think one of the
Toyota,
car dealerships
you got
washes their
Toyota,
cars.
you got
It is
Riverhead, a car wash, and you have
Riverhead
the
Car
one next
Wash.
to the Bola gas station
Okay,
on Route 58. And there is one in Garson, in Honda.
Apple
But
Honda.
I'm not sure if they use that for their own cars only, or whether they use it for public use.
So we-
I never see anybody in the bowl, ever. It's never been used.
Yeah, I see people in it quite a bit. And Bola's actually not hooked up to the district, because the line was run after they were, they were established. So it was up to them as to whether they wanted to connect or not.
Right.
But if they wanted to connect, they would, have to go through the same process. Other than they're already in the district, they would have to submit to the district plans for connection, which would include the pre-treatment.
alright,
So,
alright, any other questions?
No?
Alright, thank you.
The board's okay, I'll just,
Yes.
Yes.
let the developer know, they'll send the money over for H2M to prepare a map and plan, and then we'll cut them a purchase order to go ahead and do the work.
And we're gonna need
Alright.
your recommendations after we get the report.
You got it?
We
Certainly.
have to
All right.
look
Thank
at
you.
it. Great. Have a good day, Michael.
Thank you. So fast.
I know.
All right, and moving along to our final discussion concerning possible industrial moratorium in Calverton. For this, we have Jeff Murphy, our building and planning administrator. We have Eric Howard, our town attorney, to discuss this topic. And I know, Councilman Hubbard, you have requested this to be put on. And can you take it from here?
Sure. As we're aware, the planning board recently has put up a resolution and requesting the town board to act on a moratorium in the Calverton area regarding industrial A, B, and C. We as a town have been inundated with numerous applications for warehouse-type buildings. The majority of them are warehouse-type buildings. And due to the fact that we've been overwhelmed with so many applications, I happen to agree with the planning board that we need to pump the brakes here, and we're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for our comp plan, which is just about to get started. And I favor letting the comp plan help us decide and help us guide the path of Riverhead for the next 20 years. I realize that the 2003 comp plan has in fact sort of allowed this to happen for these warehouses to come in, but I also am aware that that was 20 years ago, and that, quite honestly, times have changed. And just as we're gonna be doing with our comp plan now, it's difficult to foresee 20 years down the road when all of a sudden we have things like solar and anaerobic digesters and battery storage, and now logistics centers seem to be the way of the world. So just because the 2003 plan may have allowed some of these projects to come into town, we're so close to getting into the comp plan. I'm requesting a 12-month moratorium on all action, all industrial action in A, B, and C in the Calverton area. So the comp plan will have a chance to address this. That's why we're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for the comp plan, and I favor letting the comp plan do its job and assist us in getting this right. If we don't get it right and we allow some of these warehouses or huge buildings, the landscape will forever be changed in the Calverton area. And we've heard from our residents time and time again, the past 3 meetings, we've had a full house of residents that are telling us they don't want this. And, there's a lot that goes with it. We've discussed tax base out of these projects. We realize there is some tax base that could come to help the town out. But there's got to be a fine line between what we need from tax base and what we want to do to our community. And for that reason, I'm asking for a 12-month moratorium on all projects that are coming into the Calverton area. Thoughts, concerns, questions? I don't know where the rest of the board feels on this, but,
One question is, if you do 12 months moratorium, and the comprehensive plan already said they're 14 months out when they start, haven't started yet, you're still in this dilemma now, the moratorium expires and you're still months shy of your comprehensive plan being completed. So what happens then?
well, for starters, we're gonna make this a priority with the comprehensive plan. I've spoken to Jefferson about this, and this is probably the most urgent thing we need to look at in regards to the comp plan. So we would ask them to address this first and foremost, the Calverton area, and we will have a much better idea prior to the 12 months being up. In a worst-case scenario, we could extend the moratorium another 6 months, or 3 months, or whatever it needed to be. But I'm hoping that with the implementation of the new comp plan, that they're gonna address this fast, and we're gonna have some better idea of what we can and what we can't do, what we should and what we shouldn't do in the Calverton area.
Well, Timmy, with that point in mind, saying that we're gonna expedite the industrial zoning in Calverton, why wouldn't we just put a 6-month moratorium
Yes.
and make that renewable every 6 months as needed until those are identified?
I wouldn't be against that. Quite
Okay.
honestly, if that's what it takes to get support out of the board, I would prefer a 12-month. But if that's what I would get support on the board with,
My
I would
only
certainly
concern
go
is
with
it's
6
not,
months.
I agree 100% with everybody we've spoken to and heard from. My only concern is that this is economic development ultimately, and if we can identify through the comp plan, which is our hope,
Right.
more quickly than the 14 months, that we should move ahead on.
And to
I would
that-
be amenable to that.
Okay.
And to that, and to that point, you also have to understand, once the comp plan is completed, we have to, have public hearings, it has to be adopted, code has to be created. It can be 2 years before that plan gets voted in. And I also want to note that, I don't necessarily, I support a moratorium on, the saturation, the amount of projects that are coming through. However, I think we should look at some of these projects independently, and possibly create some type of exemptions. And, I know, Jeff, you gave us a little synopsis of some of these some of these projects, but we need to ensure that, and we talked about the vested, anything could be considered vested. I know, Aaron, I think you had stated that, it has to have a site plan. I'm sorry, I checked with, other, entities and attorneys and people in public office, and they said we can decide what we want.
With whom did you check?
It's not a matter of, we know that you support it, and if I consult
don't
with
support
attorneys,
anything.
I don't have.
I gave you my advice based on the case
Yeah,
law.
okay, we're not
Secondary
disagreeing by
materials
any
and stuff like
means.
that.
Good, we're not disagreeing, I just wanna say that, to have a blanket on everything that might take 2 years to complete, I think we should look at some of these projects, research them, look at them,
Okay,
I'm
so-
just gonna chime in.
That's not a legal analysis for me.
No, understood.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I could, just to term, if you impose this for 6 months, you're gonna be looking at having a public hearing to consider extending it, if need be, after about 4.5 months, 5 months. So my concern with that would be, does it give our consultants enough time to give us direction
Right.
once they come into the town and start doing the work on updating the plan?
Well,
That would be my concern on the 6 months.
Let me just finish, and in addition, we don't wanna lose, the creation of jobs and economic development that's gonna affect our tax base. And at the same time, some of these projects may not be, they're not gonna draw children to our schools. So, I think we have to look at it. I agree with the moratorium, but I think that the projects that are, in process, that we should look at them closely, see if they are considered what everybody calls vested. Some say that it has to have a site plan to be vested. I think any time that we accept the project, when we're doing a comprehensive plan, may make it difficult for us. And again, everybody says, don't worry about getting sued. We accept the project and we had a comprehensive plan already in progress. So these are things that we should all work out. They're not against, they're not for, but these are concerns that we should, look at, together as a board and come to a conclusion.
Yeah. So I'll tell you, from my standpoint, I will not accept a blanket moratorium on industrial land. I think it's, that means that we're gonna ignore any projects that may be benign, that may not have traffic effects, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm gonna just give you another example of something, and I'm not gonna identify the exact project, but because of the solar moratorium that was imposed whatever it was, a year and a half ago, there was one project now that is asking to do a warehouse. Their initial project was solar. And because there was a moratorium, they switched to warehousing because solar had there was a moratorium on solar. I'm for a 6-month moratorium, and Eric, I understand what you're saying, and it may not be ready, but I don't want to make any assumptions either way, you know. I'm not for a blanket moratorium, and I am absolutely for, we need to look at what may be exempted from this.
So based on the status of the applications with the building department and in the context of the case law that's been developed on this issue, there are no vested projects.
I didn't use the word vested, and I'm not intending to use the word vested. What I'm talking about is benign projects, and we have to look at the tax base. You know, as much as people are against warehousing, I'm not saying they're the solution to the tax base, but there are there could be other projects that come in here, and if we put a blanket on industrial, we're shooting the taxpayers in the foot, you know, by ignoring that, the potential for taxes. So again, I'm not for a blanket. I'd like to take what you have here, this resolution, and do another one that has exemptions in place, a 6-month moratorium, and not a blanket moratorium.
So if you're gonna have exemptions, and I said this the last time we were up here, you have to have a very clearly articulated rationale for what's being exempt, why
Okay.
something is being
Okay, so
exempt.
that will,
Okay, because we have this list from planning that was somewhere between 8 and 10 projects, something like that. So if you're gonna exempt 1 or 2 or whatever, you know, you really need to make sure that you have a solid rationale for that. Otherwise, the left out projects are going to, you know, argue that they're not being treated fairly, right? So what's the difference between the status of the project that was exempted and my project? Is my project not good enough? Is, you know, that's gonna be.
it's not even a matter of I'm not necessarily referring to, you know, the progression of the project as much as I am, and I'll give you an example. Battery storage on industrial land, what does that do? There's no traffic impact, right, there's nothing. I cannot identify another project, but I don't want to eliminate benign projects, you know, that may be benign. You know, I don't know the complete answer, and from a legal perspective, I would ask you if we want exemptions on how to craft that, right? I would ask you to craft that and maybe to look into some language that may work.
Well, we all agree on one thing, right? There's too much, this oversaturation of projects coming in, and that's gotta stop. And we're not against the moratorium.
Not against the moratorium.
I think we should look at this a little bit more comprehensively, together, in a discussion. That's why we're here in a work session. Nobody's attacking, we're all trying to identify, people's thoughts, the board's thoughts, and see, but I do support, possibly, not doing a blanket. I do support stopping all the projects from coming in, and, I think, Councilman Kern brought up some really interesting points, that this is a work in progress, and we gotta get it right, and,
My personal opinion, Madam Supervisor, is that there is no line that can be drawn to say who's far enough along and who's not. Rather, I prefer to go by the letter of the law. You're either vested or you're not. And if you're not vested, you have no right to build this. You haven't been given permission to do this. And I'm gonna stick to my guns on this, and I'm gonna say, quite honestly, I want a full moratorium in the Calverton area. I will consider the 6 months, I don't have a problem with that. And if it needs to be extended, it needs to be extended. We will ask the comp plan to make it a priority to work on this. We should have a better idea in 6 months. We may not be fully ready to make a decision in 6 months, but I think that's far better than letting things continue as is, willy-nilly in Baiting Hollow, and Calverton, with all these projects coming in. The landscape will be forever changed if some of these projects come in. And I'm gonna go back to when I asked for a solar moratorium, and this is a very valid point that Frank made. Solar is somewhat benign to the farmland. If solar goes out, you still have the farmland. If we build it industrial, we build a building on that land will never, ever be the same again. You won't farm that land again. So these are, to me, this is a very important situation. I fully support the moratorium. The description or definition of who's vested and who's not, because I did originally say, and I kind of felt that one of these projects, and I'll say it was HK Ventures, is further along in the pack than any of the other projects that are coming before us. And I felt if there was a way that we could let them to continue on, I would support that. But in doing research and in talking to the town attorney, I don't think there's a way for us to say where that timeline should be put, saying you're this close to the finish line, but you're not there yet, you're a little bit further back. I think it just invites litigation from the other developments that are being proposed, and the last thing I want to do is get us tied up into litigation. A 6-month moratorium I can live with, because if we need to extend it, we can, but I am 100% in favor of a 6-month full moratorium on the Calverton area, industrial aviation.
And Tim, I just want to add, I mean, there's another side to that we have to consider. And again, that's why we're at
Right.
work session, to exchange ideas and develop an appropriate moratorium. So usually when you have a comprehensive plan, they look at the cumulative impacts of everything. And so I don't see it being done in 6 months. You can't just take one area.
It may not be.
Isn't that called?
It may not be, and if it's not, then I'm willing to extend the
Yeah,
moratorium.
so we have to see, because I think it's all,
Personally, a 12-month moratorium to me is a pump of the brakes for all of these projects, and if you're gonna do this project, and if you're gonna go through all the hoops to do these, in 12 months, you're still gonna do these projects. We're not chasing anybody out of town. And I'm certainly not looking to not create jobs and tax base in the town, but I think we need to do it smartly and wisely. And by allowing all of these to come in and not wait for the comp plan to be completed, I think that is not a wise decision.
And I'd just like to add, I mean, if you look at the population 20 years ago, you look how many people have warehoused themselves in houses across farmland, and so, I mean, there's and I'm gonna add this to say, Tim, if the comp plan 14 months, okay, and if people are allowed to either continue or they wanna continue here, you're still 2 years away from putting a shovel in the ground. So when is the tax base doesn't hit now for, potentially 3 years? That's a concern. That's why I don't have a problem with what may be benign uses, and we have to look at what exemptions are, okay? Because that's a tremendous loss of use and of taxes, in that time period. So that's why I'm, more for exemptions. And I agree, I mean, if we do it for 6 months and we have to extend it, we have to extend it. And this, I think, we need to couple with the TDRs as well,
You have to.
okay?
interesting, yeah.
So, but I think that's where, that's why I'm not in favor of a blanket moratorium.
Just when you talk about tax base, though, I mean, I've heard this for years, and we heard it about Route 58 and the development, all the tax base this was gonna bring into town, the big box stores and everything else. And I'm not saying I'm against the fact that they're there, because I shop at them, I use them all the time, and I'm glad I don't have to travel to another town to use those facilities. But it really didn't make our tax base. Did anybody's taxes go down by having all these people come in? No. Are our taxes going to go down by these warehouses coming in? No. I can't sell anybody on that, because that's not realistic. That never happens. I get that having more tax base than less is better, and it may help us not have to raise taxes so much in the future, but I can't rest an argument on, you know, if we put this moratorium on, we're losing all this tax base, because we just don't see, as residents, we don't see a big difference in our taxes, whether all these big box stores came in or they didn't. And then you have the IDA side of it, where we, and I don't want to say we give away tax breaks, because I believe in the IDA, and I believe the IDA has a specific purpose. If the IDA started giving tax breaks out to gas stations, I would say, no, wrong, let's stop. We have gas stations, we have banks. The IDA, to me, should be to bring business into town, which they've done a very good job with. And in order to entice them to come into town, you give them your tax breaks, or your sales tax, or your mortgage tax, or whatever it may be. And that has helped in a lot of situations. I firmly believe that the IDA needs to help out at EPCAL when and if we sell that property, that for development up there, that's exactly what the IDA should be for in my mind. But we hear about, you know, people complain about, well, the IDA gives this way and it gives that away. But look at also the fact that if that land wasn't developed, you get very minimal taxes on it. The IDA gives a tax break, they build on it, we get pilot payments, we're getting a lot more money than we ever would have gotten if that land just sat vacant. But having said that, we need to look at what's going on in the Calverton area. And this area has been bombarded
Absolutely.
between the solar and now all these applications coming in. And I don't live in Calverton, but I have to tell you, if I did, I'm not sure I want a 60-foot-high warehouse in my backyard when I'm sitting down on my deck to look at it. And yes, they bought their house out here, they moved out here, and that land was zoned industrial. I get that. But it doesn't mean that I support it, and it doesn't mean that I, as a homeowner there, want to see that. And like I said, it's going to forever change the character of Baiting Hollow and Calverton. And
I just want to give a quick example of how the taxes really are impacted. I couldn't speak about solar for so long because my family's farms were being considered for projects, but I will tell you that one of them was a 109-acre farm, and our taxes as ag was $6,500 a year to the town. When the solar project went through, the taxes went from $6,500 a year in industrial seed to $850,000. So there is quite a considerable impact on taxes.
The other thing, Tim,
I just want, if I can, Supervisor, I just want to address, because I know, and you're right about the IDA. I mean, every project that I was on with the IDA, most of it was blighted property, and I'm not going to say specifically what it was, but there was land that was paying downtown $32,000 a year, okay? When that project came to us, we started them from day one of the purchase at 38, and it's escalated ever since. And I'm just giving you one example. The other thing I'm going to say is that, and the IDA had nothing to do with any of the tax breaks that were given to the development on 58. That was the town that gave away those tax breaks to get those people here. And to your point, because they, quite frankly, they should be paying a lot more taxes than they're paying.
and eventually, as they build, the taxes increase. So eventually, once they're fully operational, they pay the full
And
taxes.
they pay,
And you know what, there's something, and you were in the IDA, and I think there's something that we should clarify, Bob. It appears when we say tax breaks, it means that it's costing the taxpayers more money.
Doesn't
In
it all?
reality, they're getting tax breaks on paying state taxes on the equipment,
well,
right?
they get
So
tax
it's not-
breaks
they're
on,
not-
no, what happens is this, they get tax breaks on
Mortgage.
sales tax, there's mortgage tax relief, and the other piece of this is that they actually, it's pilot payments. So what happens is, that money, and I'll give you an example, because I asked this question. Last year, they paid about $680,000 to the town that they collected on behalf of the town in pilot payments. So the reason why it doesn't go through the assessor's office is because the IDA has a contract with every piece that they get involved in. And if that contract is broken, the IDA will take them out of the IDA and they will be paying full taxes. That's the way that works. And I'll give you an example. If you got an apartment building with retail in it, the IDA has to approve those retail customers. They vet them to make sure that they're gonna pay the rents, et cetera, et cetera. They also get a list of the people, of the amount of people that are in there, when the leases change, et cetera, et cetera. There's also a job component. If somebody commits that they're gonna have 22 jobs, and next year they have 15, guess what? They broke their contract with the IDA. So there's a lot of scrutiny that goes into these projects. And then there's a big misnomer about the IDA, and I'm gonna say this, if Riverhead did not have an IDA, the Suffolk County IDA can then do the projects.
They would dictate what projects we have to
Well,
accept.
they would
Without
just.
a dog in the fight, because
Exactly.
it's,
Yeah.
you know, at
It's-
least
it's
our
over.
IDA
Yeah.
represents us specifically.
Exactly.
The IDA is the
county
biggest,
IDA
you know, it's like everybody kicks it around like, they're giving away this or that. They're not giving away anything.
And it's not costing the taxpayers
You know,
any money.
It doesn't,
To get back to the
Yeah.
comp plan and to
Yeah.
the moratorium, I too, like many of I live in the 11933 area code, and I too, like many of the concerned citizens, look forward to the results and the analysis of where is appropriate for these
Yes.
buildings going forward. So I think that that's certainly something that I've heard and resounds with me as well.
The other thing, we're just gonna make it clear, and there's been some indication that it includes EPCAL. EPCAL is, the property's been deeded to us. I just want you to make a clarification on this, Jeff. It's been deeded to us, it has its purpose, it's economic development, and it's not part of the possible moratorium that we're discussing.
That is correct.
It's a different zone.
Yeah, we're not,
Different zoning
Go ahead,
district.
would
the
you answer
PIP
it?
is completely
Just,
different.
no, we
That's
just wanna
not what we're
clarify,
referring-
but there's been, you know, some semblance during this saying it's
Some
gonna include.
confusion,
Yeah,
yeah.
so we
No,
just
no,
wanna
that
make
does
it
not-
clear.
Does not
A, B, and C.
affect the PIP.
Yes, okay. Okay, so that was a healthy discussion.
Right, well, it was a good discussion, but without a final outcome. I mean, I would like to put up a resolution asking for a 6-month moratorium on all industrial A, B, and C. Is there support for that among the board?
I can't support a blanket moratorium. I can support a moratorium, for 6 months, but not a blanket moratorium on, you know, everything, because it would exclude projects that we're not even thinking about that may come in. And as you know, it takes 2 years to get through planning, no matter whether there's a moratorium or not. So,
I take to heart the planning board's concerns. Originally, when you said 18 months, I said, no way, that's
Well, not-
really, yeah.
Right, and in talking to my board members, I realized
Yeah.
that might have been too extreme,
Then
so-
even 12 months, but considering the unknown for the success or the final results of the comp plan, I would be amenable to a 6-month moratorium to be renewed if necessary, but if not, then we can get the plans
Right.
back in the pipeline.
Right.
Jeff, what would happen to all these projects? Do we notify them and say, after you submitted
Yes.
an application?
Yes.
Unfortunately, you have to refund the application fee?
No,
You don't have to
no,
refund the application fees?
no.
They don't have a God-given right to do their projects when they come in. They pay to apply for them, but doesn't mean they're gonna be able to do it. All right, so
isn't there some-
what
I
I'm
just
sorry,
have
go
one
ahead.
more question.
Go ahead.
This is a lot, right? So
It
we
is.
gotta try to do it as comprehensively, so it's not like you're for or against. So at one time, I believe I asked you the question and you responded, so I just wanna hear it and make it clear again. When somebody submits an application, and it's an industrial project, let's say, and it's in an industrial area. So we have to accept that application?
Yes.
By what is it code, is it state code, under what guidance?
State law,
So it's state law that we must accept the application,
yes,
and you must process it?
yes.
He has to review it and make a determination on it.
That everything is in place?
Right.
Right,
So
okay,
you-
well,
and
the-
What the next step would be if there is a next step.
So if you wanted, if you put a plan in for the Empire State Building, you would say, no, don't
We
even
see the
apply.
application is incomplete, doesn't comply with the zoning, that sort of thing.
Exactly, that's
But
what-
we have to
yeah.
review it and provide a response.
So how long has this comprehensive plan, been, when was it voted in? I don't have that data. Do we know, did we start a comprehensive plan and then accepted projects and now doing a moratorium?
No, the last comprehensive plan was 2003.
No, when we voted, when it was voted in that we're using the premise, right, that there's a comprehensive plan. So was the comprehensive plan in effect when these projects submitted?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Okay,
The
so
comp
I
plan
think-
So
for
we
what the
voted,
supervisor's
no, no,
2003
we're not
is-
dealing with that, we're dealing with, remember when it was voted in that we're gonna start a
I think what
comprehensive
the
plan?
supervisor's trying to say is what applications were pending when we approved the resolution to do a comprehensive plan.
Like what came in afterwards?
Right. What came in afterwards.
Yes, thank you,
and what was
all
I
right.
think almost all of them came in after.
Almost all the projects came in after we,
This goes back prior to the pandemic.
HK Ventures may not have, but I believe the others probably did.
Do you have a list of what they are?
The projects? Yes, you
Yeah.
have that.
You
Oh,
have
these,
That's spreadsheet.
Thank you, Matt, for that.
thank
Thank
you.
you, thank Heather, you did it.
oh, okay, thank
Right.
you.
Thank you.
Well, it helped us, you know, we have
What I'm
to,
gonna propose, because I don't wanna ask people how they're voting, that's not really what work session is. But it sounds like I have at least support of one other board member, so I would ask Jefferson to do up a resolution for a 6-month moratorium on all industrial A, B, and C in the Calverton area, and then we can vote accordingly at a board meeting.
Well, it'll be to set it for a public hearing.
I'm sorry, you're right, I jumped past that step, to set it for a public hearing, yes.
Correct.
Tim,
Correct.
with that, does, I mean, if I put a resolution up with just some amendments to the resolution, we look at both of them at that at that public
Absolutely.
hearing?
I think you could do that, right?
Yes,
I
you
mean,
can.
Because what will happen is it'll be in your resolution packet that you will review at a work session, and then you will have your dialogue about the resolution, and you can direct staff to amend it.
and I
or
think we can have it
accordingly.
in the same public hearing,
Or-
correct?
Yeah, or in discussing,
Eric?
in discussing the resolution to set it for public hearing, you can discuss amendments to it as long as it's finalized prior to the publishing, right?
Right,
So it has to
okay.
be, I mean, you can't add anything to it after it's been published and noticed to the public
Correct.
that this is when the public hearing's gonna be, all right?
Okay, so it looks like 2 resolutions will go up, and then we continue, and we should continue to have
Public hearing,
healthy,
discuss both resolutions.
yeah, and continue to have healthy,
Well, Bob wants to do a resolution that's different from mine.
Bob, what's,
he just wants to add amendments to his,
hold on,
correct?
If Bob has a separate proposed piece of legislation or a separate proposed local law, then there would be two
Okay.
resolutions.
Well,
Bob,
that-
what's the
I-
difference between yours and Tim's?
Mine is, and I've got it, is to allow for I want, for the, that it's not blanket, allows for exemptions, a 6-month moratorium, and, you know, that's basically it, I'm giving you the gist of it.
All right, so you still have to work with the town attorney's
Well,
office.
that's, I don't
which
know if
one
it's
it-
an amendment to that resolution, I'm asking for your guidance, I'm not an
Well,
attorney.
there's no finalized resolution yet, so it would just be, you know, if
So
that were
can there
something we
be
were
two-
going to incorporate, it would be what's put into the packet that would be reviewed prior to the next town board meeting.
The issue here is that we have, Councilman Hubbard stating he wants a blanket, and then we have, current, and I know you're agreeing with me,
Right.
saying that he doesn't want a blanket, so it's gonna
Right.
be, and he wants to put exceptions, he probably will use most of that language. I think we all agree that there definitely is an oversaturation, and you've gotta stop these projects. I mean, we need help to stop that.
But I also don't see,
Well, we also-
our town attorney is telling us legally wise, we're gonna open up ourselves to litigation if we try to exempt projects. It's either a blanket moratorium or it's
And
not.
I need to,
I think
and
just
to your
for the-
point, Ken, I need to drill down further on that. I need to, understand that, by exemptions, how we're opening ourselves up to, litigation.
Just in terms of assessing the impact of this, and the reasonableness and the fairness to anything pending, right, or anything that might come in. You have the 6-month moratorium, which is a relatively short period of time.
Right.
Does it make sense to clutter that with exemptions? And then how long does it take for an application to come in and us to make a determination as to whether it qualifies for an exemption? Is the 6 months up at that point? Or we're going back to another public hearing to extend it? I mean, I think that if it's gonna be 6 months, I think including everything is reasonable. I think those two things accommodate each other very well. If you were gonna go longer on the moratorium, I would be more inclined to suggest or recommend certain exemptions for benign uses, whatever those are. That would be a separate determination that we would have to research and come up with something for.
Jeff, can you clarify for me? So the one thing, maybe I don't have a full understanding, is when you put a moratorium on something, does that mean that your office itself shuts down discussion with all these applications? For example, if a seeker is in process for a project, does seeker continue to work in its path? Is a moratorium like physically building on the ground, like concrete being poured? Or does still planning and site planning still continue on? Does seeker continue on? Or do you close your door and say, that's it, everybody go away for 6 months?
We suspend our review of it. That does not mean that the applicants are not off doing, for example, Riverhead Logistics Center. They're probably going to continue with the processing of the DEIS, the Draft Environmental Impact Statement, on their own. If they submit it to us, we will not review it until the moratorium is lifted.
So at any
So you
time.
close your door during a moratorium, essentially.
We do not review any of the applications that are affected by the moratorium.
At any time, Jeff, did you meet with any of these projects and say, go to the next step?
Review them and what?
Well, you have an initial meeting, right, with the,
We've met with the applicants many times,
many times,
yes.
and you've indicated stipulations and things that had to be met.
Yes.
To code and told to
they've
move on.
They've gotten letters and report and.
Right, to
that-
say, now you need to go, and this has
Correct.
to be accomplished.
Right.
So you've been engaged in all of these projects, or
Yes.
just in some?
Myself personally,
Yeah, well, your office.
yes, absolutely directly in all of them.
Oh, okay,
And they've been before the
I'm
plan.
sorry,
And most of them have been before the planning board.
okay.
There's been one or two that haven't got to the level of going to the planning board yet because
Which ones haven't gone to the planning board?
I don't have a list
Oh, it's
of-
okay.
I don't have a list of the applications that,
That would be good that
To
would
know.
be good to know, and I'm gonna ask you on some of these, right? So U-Haul of Calverton, 35,000 square feet building, so that would be under the moratorium, right? That would stop.
That's a storage
So,
location.
and so another one is this JBD Calverton. They wanna build, this 129,000 square foot warehouse, okay? I understand the warehouse issue. Somebody wants to add, to an existing storage, right? A loading area, some landscaping light, we're gonna stop them from doing that. To me, that's on the borderline of benign, and this is where I'm having an issue. I want an understanding of all the projects we're talking about, not just warehouses. I'm not against a moratorium. The blanket moratorium concerns me. It just concerns me that we're just going, okay, we're gonna do this because of warehousing. Warehousing, you may find out in 6 months, it doesn't work over there. I'm not the comp plan guy, but at the same time, I wanted a really good description as battery storage, moratorium. Why? What is that gonna do? Where's the traffic in that? I'm not for a blanket moratorium for these reasons at this point, and I need to understand every single project that's involved, other than warehouses, okay, and what also has been submitted to you guys, for the industrial, before I can make a decision on this.
Jeff, out of these projects, we're talking about none are vested. Just clarify when is a project vested?
That's a legal term, I'm gonna turn to a town term.
Once they have a building permit and they've incurred substantial expense and, substantial expense.
I think
Expense into
Substantial construction and, substantial construction and expense, sorry, the word construction is not.
So substantial,
You have to have brick and mortar on the
we know
ground.
that companies have already invested over, potentially like HK Ventures have already invested maybe over $1 million into doing their studies and programs. So what do you say when something is substantial, that's substantial money, so what's the clarification?
There's case law that has found that the placement of the $850,000 incinerator didn't constitute substantial expenditure of construction.
It's not just studies or application fees, it has to be physical. You have to have the permits in place, you have to have site plan approval, a building permit, and then actual construction in the ground to be legally vested.
So looking at these, how far away is any of these projects from being vested? Is something gonna be, or any of these projects, do you foresee in the next 6 months being vested?
No.
So by stopping their planning process and secret studies, you're putting a halt to that work for your review work. But essentially 6 months from now, even if this continued, you don't necessarily have to approve the project if anything changed with the comprehensive plan, so to speak. So you see where I'm going? So you're putting a moratorium, so you're stopping reviewing any projects, and you're putting a halt on it. But at the same point, you don't foresee any of these projects having a CO in the next 6 months. So why stop the study analysis on them? Why prevent that when they might not even have it in 6 months, and we could sit at have the same discussion 6 months from now and saying that, well, still nobody's vested yet.
But the one risk, and it would be at their risk, and again, I'm not speaking as a lawyer, is that they would allow to proceed, invest a large amount of money in the EIS process or through site plan review. There are more than one of these projects that probably would get site plan approval by the end of next year. They're running that risk that in 12 months, 14 months, we're gonna change the zoning on them, and their project is no longer viable.
But that can happen anyway with the new comprehensive plan.
Yeah, so the moratorium signals that to them and signals it to anybody who's considering that area for development, right?
I think the
So
discussion,
it puts them on notice that the zoning may change.
so I think the discussion alone and the comprehensive plan in progress alone has sent that message to them.
And
I
I
don't
guarantee
think we
you
need to
that
stop work.
if we don't do the moratorium, there's gonna be a mad rush for applicants to come to the planning board. The floodgates are gonna open, and we're gonna get a plethora of push by applicants to get their applications approved.
Absolutely.
We can't do a moratorium to stop any projects from coming in.
With exemption, and I don't know,
Yeah.
and again, Eric, I'm gonna ask you to look up, to do some research on, what exemptions would be legal, number one. Number two, I still have a concern, I'm gonna use the battery storage. I mean, that's taxable, okay? And it's a benign use, and I'm concerned about that, and when I see a list of what other projects that you say that, I wanna look at those projects before I just say, no, you can't do it if it's not gonna have any impact.
All right, if I could kind of focus and hone in on a potential solution to the discussion is to have two resolutions. One would be the blanket moratorium, and the other would be to have a list of exemptions. Before the start of today's meeting, my staff and I had a discussion about possible exemptions, and that lasted a half hour with no resolution, so we could be here another half hour talking about it. So rather than continue the dialogue here, is let us work with Eric and my planners, and then we'll sit down with you, and if there are criteria, we'll introduce that into a law, a proposed hearing notice that will include.
Well, listen, yeah,
the
before
different
you
exemptions.
introduce it into law, let me see how you got there, and let's have a discussion on it.
And
okay?
I'll give you one example that we talked about. What about if an application comes in and it's a type 2 action under secret because it's a totally benign use? Should it be captured by the moratorium? So that's something that I think we can have that dialogue between now and when we write the notice, and we can have that discussion.
That's what I'd like to do.
I just wanted Eric to note that, there is no concrete law that states that you can do a moratorium only if, there's a site plan. You can use it, there's research, it's been other cases, but from my understanding, it's up to the town board, that we can do exemptions, and we are covered, we're not open to litigation. I'm gonna check it further, I'm gonna check it with the state, and I'm gonna check it, with, you know, my colleagues, and, so we can have a more comprehensive view on it. But it's my understanding that, you don't have to have a site plan in order, not to be captured by
Yeah, maybe Eric,
resolution.
you could do some,
Yeah,
have you guys just do some research on exemptions, you know, how it works.
Yeah.
You based this on case law, correct?
Yeah, this is case
Yeah,
law, and this
that's-
is guidance from
rather
the New
simple.
York State Division of Local Government Services.
Did you look at
Publication
exemptions?
on land use
Can we get a
moratorium
copy of
by
that?
James A. Kuhn, Local Government Technical Series.
It's,
Great.
they
Can you
offer
send us a
an incredible
copy?
amount of services and knowledge and expertise.
Right.
Can you look on case law in this situation that would include exemptions? So we can look, I appreciate that,
Sure.
Okay,
thank you.
And in the meantime, send us all a copy of that, Eric, please.
Good. Will do.
be great.
Good.
Good to have a good overview of everything.
And no
that's
blood
going on.
was drawn today. What was that?
And, you know,
No,
again,
again,
I'm
that's
for
why
a
we're here.
moratorium, you know, it's just that, you know, I don't want, you know, again, it's just benign uses, and, you know, and I'm glad the planning department already looked into this, and Eric will look into it on a legal aspect, and let's have we don't need to have that conversation here, let's, you know, I'll engage with you guys.
Great,
Thank you.
thank you so
Thank
much.
you, everyone.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Have a good day.
You too.
Thank you, Eric.
What else we got?
Okay.
What else we
It
got?
takes them like 5 minutes to shut
This
the
con-
place down.
Yep, this concludes our discussions for today, and in a moment, I'm gonna ask you for a first and a second to enter into executive session to discuss the following. One, personnel matter concerning, discipline of an employee, then that would be with Chief Hegemiller, Howard, and, Strippin Teo, our HR director, and the second matter is litigation surrounding the town of Riverhead and Oak Hills, and that would be with Eric Howard.
So moved.
Okay, can I have a first and a second to close executive session? I got a first and a
Aye,
second.
aye, aye,
All
aye,
opposed, all
aye.
in favor? So moved. Everyone, please be safe.
Aye, aye, aye.
We're not meeting until Thanksgiving, right? Past Thanksgiving.